Władysław Daniewicz was born in a small village in Prussia, Poland, on January 13, 1843, the son of Karol and Juliana Daniewicz. Władysław's paternal grandfather, Adam Daniewicz, was from Lithuania. When Władysław was 16 years old, his father died, forcing the teenager to quit his studies in the public school in Września so he could have the means to support his family. During the second half of the 18th century, what was then the Kingdom of Poland included all of modern-day Lithuania, Belarus, and half of Ukraine, which is now modern-day Germany. Between 1772 and 1795, the Kingdom of Poland was divided between Prussia, Austria, and Russia. It was said that Władysław took part in what is known as the January Uprising in 1863, in which Polish patriots tried to regain their independence from Russia. Władysław joined the Królestwo, an underground army, and moved to a town near the Prussian-Russian border. During his stay there, he met his future wife, Albertina Krieger. Władysław and Albertina were married on January 17, 1863. Shortly after their wedding, the newlyweds moved to Posen. Firstborn son Kazimierz was born on February 6, 1865. On February 12, 1866, Władysław left his young family and fled his native land for the port in Hamburg, boarding the sailing ship known as the Electra for the 3-month journey to America. Already speaking Polish, Russian, and German, Władysław taught himself to speak English during the journey. On May 8, 1866, Władysław landed in New York Harbor with only $32 worth of gold, the equivalent of about $400 in today's dollars. While being processed through the Immigration Center at Castle Garden, many of those with difficult names to pronounce were given names like Frank, Mike, or Tom. Not surprisingly, the immigration officials had no idea how to pronounce or spell Władysław Daniewicz, provided him with a moniker he would use during the first few years in America: John DeVoe, D for the first initial of his last name, and Vo for the first initial of his first name. And Władysław left New York for the city that was to be his home for the next 60 years, sending for his young family to join him shortly thereafter. Władysław worked for a time at McCormick, and after a brief stint at a lumberyard, he spent the next 5 years repairing locomotives in Northwestern Railway Company. Albertina opened a small grocery store. Albertina's store became a central meeting point for the growing Polish community in Chicago. It is said that Władysław's place as a leader in the Polish community came after the Chicago fire in October of 1871. Władysław and Albertina opened their home to many who were left homeless. By 1872, the Polish community in Chicago had grown rapidly, and Władysław and Albertina began reselling Polish books and magazines in Albertina's store that they purchased from booksellers in Eastern Europe. Seeing that it was difficult to obtain Polish books in America, Władysław had the idea to publish books himself. On October 15, 1873, Władysław officially started his publishing company, finally getting rid of his John DeVoe name once and for all, and now going by his proper Polish name. Although Władysław's publishing company was originally formed to reprint Polish books in the United States, the company quickly branched out. Władysław soon started the Gazeta Polska, the first Polish-language newspaper in Chicago. Władysław eventually published thousands of books by Polish authors, as well as Polish translations of the works of famous English and American authors such as Mark Twain and H.G. Wells. Władysław loved to invest in real estate. In 1888, he purchased a home in Chicago on 30 acres of land located on Diversey and Austin Avenues. The home was especially beneficial for Władysław's large family, which now consisted of 8 children: Kazimierz, Anelia or Nellie, Wanda, Edwin, Leon, Mary, Bronislawa or Hattie, and Matthew. The residence still stands to this day. The home was a gathering place for the numerous Danevich family and friends. Years later, his granddaughter, Leona Kufleski Gates, would write,
Grandma and Grandpa had a lovely 17-room home where we would often drive up for the weekend in the carriage pulled by a brown horse by the name of Nellie. We lived in a small white cottage at 22nd in California in Chicago, and would start out in the morning and drive a long time to get to the Diversey Avenue home in an area known at that time as Cragen. I can remember that when Dad turned into Grandpa's driveway, a workman would run to open the big wooden gate for us. There were always cousins visiting, too, so we never lacked for playmates. One could never read anything that would hurt them, was one of the family sayings.
Vladislav and Albertina celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary in Chicago on January 17, 1913, with their children, grandchildren, and their numerous friends. Albertina passed away on August 9, 1921. Shortly thereafter, Vladislav sold the Diversey home and moved in with his daughter Mary and her family. Vladislav died on February 9, 1928, at the age of 85. During his life, Vladislav was instrumental in the founding of Holy Trinity Parish in Chicago and the St. Stanislav Church. Some of Vladislav's closest friends, including Chicago mayor and Tribune editor Joseph Medal, J. Ogden Armour, founder of Armour Meat Company, and Victor E. Lawson, founder and publisher of the Chicago Daily News.
His descendants are settled from shore to shore in the USA and are thankful to him for that, thankful that John DeVoe came to America.